You're listening to the Love Your Neighbor podcast.
Well, welcome to the Links podcast. It's the Love Your Neighbor podcast, and have a friend and neighbor, Colin Steen. Colin, thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
I'm glad that you're here, and it's going to be fun getting to know your story. I know a little bit of your story, but for you to share with community, our community, about kind of where you're from, how you got to Brandon, that's kind of where we're headed. But you said you don't drink coffee, and I know you're always so full of energy, and I mean, so what's the deal? Like,
I don't know. So I love the smell of coffee. You know, you grow up and you go to your grandparents' house, and the best thing you ever smell is there's coffee on the pot at all times, and it smelled so good. But they let me try some at a young age, and I just never really caught the taste. And as I got older, I never got into it, and I just don't enjoy the taste. And so I'm just literally a water drinker. And
oh my goodness,
yeah, I know. Is that bad? I was telling you off the air ahead of time. No joke. I was listening to the radio yesterday, and somebody, the commentators were talking about people that don't drink coffee. There's something weird about them if they're over the age of like 22. They also said that those are probably the same people that pour their milk in their bowl before they pour their cereal in their milk. But I'm not that.
You don't do that.
No.
Okay. This wasn't the Nathan's hot dog eating contest that you're watching. See, those people are weird.
That's weird.
I love hot dogs.
I could love a hot dog, but if I'd eat 60 some hot dogs, I don't think I'd ever eat one again.
I just think about like, what's he doing? Like, we're recording now. It's July 7th. I'm like, what? You know, how's he going? How are things going today?
Right,
Joey. Like, what must that be like?
I always think the night of like, that evening you can't sleep good, right? You just wow. But
that's anyway. So hopefully no one's listening to this or watching this while they're trying to eat.
Exactly.
So Colin, so I promised you kind of, tongue in cheek, I guess. I mean, so you don't drink coffee. I mean, Colin, seriously, do you have any bad habits? Are there any?
Oh yeah.
Do? Okay.
My biggest bad habit, I'm a nail biter.
Oh, wow.
But I'm on like a week stretch where I haven't bit my nails. Just because last week I really got after them for whatever reason. Have one of those where you just have one of those days, and I saw since a little kid I've been a nail biter, and I just have never completely kicked that habit. So, but I go in stretches where I'll take like a couple months off of biting my nails. But that's a really bad habit that I have.
Wow. That's strange. Yeah, I think more people than you would realize probably have that, because it is. I mean, it's probably something that, I don't know. I haven't had that, but like I also, I don't think about.
Yeah. So being a sports fan, that it's funny when they show games and you're watching clips on the sideline, and I'll see some athletes, and there they are on the sideline biting their nails. I was like, I know where they're at. They're a nail biter. They're with me.
It's not just the game, the score.
Exactly.
You were an athlete, Colin. So
yeah.
you were you've been around the block. Tell us a little bit about growing up. How you got to come. I met you after your athletic days,
right?
I guess. Tell everybody a little bit about your story. How you got to where.
Sure.
To Brandon.
Sure. So I grew up in Brookings. So I'm a South Dakota kid. Love that. Love the community. And honestly, Brandon reminds me a lot of Brookings, and the colors, red,
sure,
red and black. And but no, I just had a great upbringing in Brookings. All my family was there. Got involved in all the sports. Growing up in a somewhat smaller school, you could play a lot of the sports. So football and baseball and a little bit of basketball and some track. But I love the community of Brookings. But then, when I got to that point of like, okay, where's life going to lead me after that? And in college, everybody was going to SDSU growing up in Brookings. And I love SDSU. It's got a great place in my heart, don't get me wrong, because I grew up in that town, and that town bleeds the Jackrabbits. Unfortunately, John, I'm sorry, but
that's another topic.
I know.
I've been kind of brought into the Jackrabbit family, so I've
come around a little bit.
Yeah.
But I needed to get away. A lot of my friends were going to SDSU, classmates older than me, younger than me, they all were planning on going to SDSU. So, I had some interest in my sister was at a year older than me, and she was on a volleyball scholarship at Northern State University in Aberdeen. And so I got to know that university a little bit, just going up and watching her through the recruiting process, and then actually going up there and watching her play and seeing the campus, and kind of sparked my interest a little bit. And then as I was going through the process, I didn't, getting done with school, high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do with my life, but I knew I wanted to play football, and I had an opportunity to go play at Northern State, and so I took the opportunity to go to Aberdeen and I redshirted my first year in college at Aberdeen, but then played my last 4 years. So it was 5 years I spent in Aberdeen going to Northern State University. So
cool.
Yeah, so very cool.
And so in those years, I mean, talk about those years playing college football. I know in our community around here, I mean, sometimes, college athletes, especially football players, there's a little bit of a, boy, that's a pretty cool thing to do. What was that experience like for you? What did that teach you about community, relationships?
Yeah, I mean, boy, nothing against my parents, obviously. They raised me to the man I am today, but gosh, you just learn so much being involved in any extracurricular activity, whether it be high school or college. But gosh, yeah, when you get to college, it's just another level. You go from high school where you have some accolades, and you're usually could be one of the better athletes in your school. Well, you all of a sudden go to college and everybody's good, and so just understanding that, hey, if I want to see the field, if I want to play, I got to put the work in, and there may be somebody that maybe have a little more talent than me, but if I can outwork them, I might get a shot. And so one, that taught me a lot about hard work. But then also just responsibility. It wasn't just, hey, I needed to get to class. It was like, hey, if you're not going to class, the coaches are going to know, and you're going to be sitting in their office. Yeah. If you're not showing up on time, whether it be to class or whether it be to meetings for football or you're in trouble. And so, it just teaching you that discipline of getting yourself up and the motivation that comes with it. And then also just the brotherhood. You can probably attest to this, John. Like, don't get me wrong. I remember a lot of the games that I played in, some of the specifics, but really what I remember is the road trips. It's or in the locker room. It's hanging around friends, being on the road, spending a night with another, a hotel room with a teammate that snores, and it's just
the old toothpaste on the phone.
Yes.
So for most of our audience, they don't know. They used to have things called phones.
Phones, yeah.
Yeah, you'd pick them up.
Yeah.
And what you do is you put toothpaste on there. Yeah. As soon as your roommate, your friends would check in, then you'd put the toothpaste on the phone, and then you'd call them. Then stick the toothpaste in.
Yeah. So, yeah. Those are some of the best. We used to do this in the dorms at Aberdeen, and this was all before. Again, we didn't have cell phones, so it was to kill time. We would prank call. So what you could do back in the day is you'd call somebody in the dorm, but then you could also do press call waiting, and you'd try to line it up so that way you're calling, say, your buddy, and then at the same time, right after you call them, you can do call waiting and call another buddy, and you try to get them to answer at the exact same time while you're listening. And those were some of the best times. We spent hours in my dorm just, people would be like, hello. And then, why'd you call me? I didn't call you. You called me, Meanwhile, you're listening in the whole thing. It's pretty fun. So,
yeah, those are. I think that, that external discipline, I think obviously when you think about our country and the people that serve our country, there's an external discipline that's applied.
Yeah.
In football, it's at a much different level. And of course I would even sometimes, you blush to think about a game, right? Yeah. We played a game, but that external discipline where someone else is demanding something of you, and you have to live up to it. That kind of over time can become a part of a internal discipline that you say, wow, I need to do my best because people are counting on me.
Yeah.
In football, I think it's, of course, I'm biased, but
Yeah.
I think it's the greatest team sport because every play, every person is depending on 10 other people to do their job.
Yep.
And then there's 11 other people across from you, and their job is to mess up your job.
Yep.
And so it's a beautiful thing.
And just too, if you are the best player on your team, you're not always going to be the Super Bowl champion. Now having kids, getting them to understand. I know my oldest Palmer was as Tom Brady's kind of had his run over the number of years. Last year when they lost, I think it must have been a late game or something like that. But I told Palmer when he woke up the next morning that nope, the Buccaneers lost, Tom Brady lost. But they're like, he goes, Dad, but they have Tom Brady. How did they lose? And so just getting, understanding that, hey, just because he's the best player doesn't mean he still has 10 other guys on his team, that they all need to come together for one goal and put a whole game plan together in order to get a victory. And that's what I think is so cool when doing a team sport compared. Nothing against individual sports. I think those are amazing too. But something about the game of football or a game of basketball or baseball, it's just you can have the best player, but not always have the best outcomes.
In your years of playing at high school and at Northern, who was the best player that you competed against, and then the best player that you competed with, teammate? Sure.
Well, okay. Right when you started asking that question, I thought of a guy his name was Naki Angula. So at Northern, when I was there, they would bring in a lot of junior college players, and this Naki, he was a Polynesian gentleman that we brought in, and he was unbelievable. A linebacker that I saw play, and just I remember vividly. I played defense, and our head coach at times when we'd have just walkthroughs would have to go over to him and say, Naki, you need to take a step back during this walkthrough, because he was just, he was that guy that just didn't care. Every play was a play he could make, and so.
Naki.
Yeah, he actually played for the Storm for 1 year. Donnie Hilsenross would remember him. He and Donnie kind of, he backed up Donnie and played some special teams, but yeah, so. I don't know. I don't know if you were on the team at that point, but.
I was going to say, it reminds me of Austin Flieger.
Yeah, it's exactly the same. Just back in the huddle and just focused on, okay, here's the next play. I'm getting after it. So Naki was by far the best player I played against. There was I played like an outside linebacker and did a lot of blitzing and so there was a center for Winona State, and his name is Andy Carr, and gosh, he was just a bear. He was I don't know why I thought of him. Winona was always our big rival in college, but he was a heck of an offensive lineman. Center. Do you know anything about playing center?
He sounds like a nice guy.
Yeah. So
I always figured they always take and maybe some of our audience doesn't know this, but you would attest to this, that whenever you're because you had some experience putting some football teams together.
Yeah.
You actually were general manager for the Storm for how many years?
Gosh, I was with them for about 10 years, but actual general manager, call it 8 years.
8 years,
yeah.
So you put some football teams together, and you know this. I mean, anytime you're putting a football team together, you take all the people and you line them up, and you take the smartest, the strongest, and the best looking players, and then you put those guys on the offensive line.
Yep.
And then from there, everything else falls into place, right?
That is
not
true.
many people know this, but that's true. That
is true, John.
So yeah, I like this Andy guy. He sounds like a nice guy.
He is a good guy.
But that's cool.
Yeah.
So Northern, and then you came. Did you come to Sioux Falls right after that?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Basically, I graduated in 2001, the spring of 2001, and I knew I wanted to get to Sioux Falls. My family a lot of them were still in Brookings area, but it was close, and South Dakota kid, Sioux Falls felt good to me. So I moved virtually a few weeks after graduating from college, just moved to Sioux Falls and had no idea what I wanted to do. I was just going to move. I had a little bit of money saved up and rented an apartment. And no joke, I started, I would deliver papers for the Argus Leader. Gosh, I'd have to get up. Oh boy, that was probably like 4 a.m. I was delivering papers from like 4 to call it 8 o'clock in the morning. And then the rest of the day I would be just passing out my resumes and trying to find a job. And shortly thereafter, actually, my first job out of college, I actually worked for a TV station. It was called PAX TV, and I kind of a new startup television station, and so it was definitely a fun experience. Actually, I remember it vividly because it was right when 9/11 happened, and so I was working for the TV company when 9/11 came about. So, but then shortly after that, the new owners of the Storm took over, and I applied for that job and got the Storm job and did that for the next, call it 11 years. Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's we could spend, you and I could spend a lot of time talking about the Storm.
The Storm
There's
years.
lots of good stories.
Lots of good
But it truly was. I mean, I think, obviously a lot of people contributed to the success of the Storm and where they are today. Way too many to mention, but
Right.
you what was that like, seeing that go from what it was to then what it became? I mean, talk a little bit about, what did you learn from that? What did you observe from that you now apply, maybe even, in life and family and in community? What were some things that you took away from those Storm years that were helpful for you?
A lot. It was just, I guess the biggest and most is surrounding yourself with the good people you want to be around with. I mean, obviously, Curtis Riggs, the longtime head coach of the Storm. I mean, like I said, initially when I was there, he was our offensive coordinator, but then shortly thereafter, Mike Aldrich, who was the head coach, pursued a new career. I think he went to Louisville at the time. And so, having to hire Curtis and just watching, him just thrive at the head coaching position and just surrounding himself with other like minds that help make him look good and finding the right players for the team. And then even from the front office standpoint, which I dealt most with the front office, again, just surrounding yourself with good, like-minded people that are all on the same page, wanting to go the similar direction. So really just putting a full team together, both from a front office standpoint and physically a team on the field. That's helped me tremendously over my career, and not just career, but even in my home life. So, yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, you've been you come from a very solid family. You're part of a great family. Tell us a little about your family and coming to Brandon.
Yeah. So, I'm married. My wife, Christy, and I now, coming up here end of July, we'll be married 10 years. So I feel really blessed. So she was, again, South Dakota girl for the most part. She grew up in Pipestone, but went to college at University of Sioux Falls. And so, we got married almost 10 years ago, and now we have 3 amazing children. My oldest, Palmer, is 8, going into 2nd grade at Brandon at Robert Bennis. And then my middle guy, Harvey, is a 6-year-old, and he'll be a 1st grader. And then my daughter, Eve, is 4 years old, and doing the preschool thing. And my wife is, I tell people, I know so my wife stays at home with our kids and just always felt called and led to be a stay-at-home mom during these early years, so she could never regret that. And I feel really blessed that God blessed us with the opportunity for that, that she could stay home, because I just, with my now appraisal business that I have, I work from home for the most part, other than days I'm out looking at homes. So I see what she has to do on a daily basis and see what stay-at-home moms do. Hear it when I'm trying when I'm trying to work, and I need to shut the door and I need to get stuff done. But also, I'm also a dad, and that's my first job as a family man, is being a dad. And so seeing that, I can't say enough about what she does for our household and what stay-at-home moms do. They don't get enough praise, because I know they don't get a paycheck, but she works way harder than I do. And I just feel really blessed that, one, that she wanted to stay home, because I really did want that for our kids too. My mom stayed home with me. She basically did a daycare, so that way she could stay at home with us kids. And so just having your mom around was a big deal for me. And I know what an impact that's going to have on our kids. So, yeah.
Yeah, it truly is. I said coming out of college, like when my wife and I met, my goal was to be a stay-at-home dad.
Yeah.
I wanted to stay at home, and I can, honestly, that's the only job that I ever had to quit.
Mm.
It was hard.
Yeah.
I did for 3 months, and I mean, for the sake of my own children, I was like, we need to get somebody else
to help out here.
I'm not very tough. Like, I thought it'd be easy.
Right.
Because my mindset is stay-at-home parent, whatever.
Yep.
But it's not. I mean, it truly is a physically, emotionally difficult job. I mean, because you're constantly parenting. And I think part of our culture is people don't know what it means to work hard.
Yeah.
And being a stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, being a parent, it's hard work.
It's a lot of hard work.
It's a lot of hard work.
It's the most rewarding work, but it is very, very hard. And with her, she's an extrovert too. So like having that transition of going from like freedom and just, being her awesome, bubbly self to all of a sudden, being a mom where, you're it's restricted. You can't just up and go. You got an infant or you got a child. That's your responsibility. And so, her navigating through that. And I'm very, very thankful that I do have a job now that I've always worked from home. And that way, we had at least that buffer. Her and I were able to still like, hey, if they're taking a nap, like her and I can sit down and we have lunch together and even if she does need something, she always comes in my office and like a little break. So at least she had that human interaction that I think helped that. But now our kids are at such a fun age where it's just, she's kind of seeing that other side where the next step of her life where she's having a little more free time to figure out what's next on her agenda. So it's fun to watch. It's going to be really fun to watch to see where God will lead her next. So, yeah.
Well, that's great to hear. Well, hey, I wanted to wrap up, talk a little bit about the community of Brandon.
Yeah.
Now you're into a new role now.
Right.
Talk to us a little bit about being in city government, council member. You're on the city council recently. Mm-hmm. Talk to us a little bit about what that's been like, what you're learning as you're getting involved with city government. I know it's a very important job, but in many ways it can be not terribly sexy, is it?
No, it's not. It's not sexy at all. But it's been a lot of fun, John. What's been the major eye opener for me is to see the behind the scenes. Until I got behind to see actually what it takes to run a city and things that we all take for granted living in a city that the city provides for you and how much it costs to run everything. It's just been eye-opening. And I really do feel humbled that I get this opportunity and I'm really, excited. I feel like I'm 43 years old, but I feel like I've got a young spirit and I've got young kids and I just love the community. We've been here now for 7 years. And we made a concerted effort. We were living in Sioux Falls. We started having kids and we're like, again, going back to Brookings, it was, for me as a kid, it was easy for me I just hopped on my bike and rode my bike to the pool. Right. When we were living in Sioux Falls, again, nothing against Sioux Falls. I'm not saying it's a big city, where in Brandon, our kids are doing that now. Just last night, they rode their bikes to the pool. I just love that they can do that. And I just really do feel honored that I get an opportunity to serve this community. And I didn't know I was going to get involved. I just knew the Lord was tugging on my heartstring to get involved with everything that's been going on since, call it 2020, and just the turmoil that's been going on in this country. I just knew I had a passion for that, and God laid something on my heart, and I just didn't know it was going to lead to the city council opportunity. It's a 1-year term for me right now, but all indications I would want to run again next year.
That's great.
So yeah, I'm excited for this opportunity.
Well, thank you from a citizen, and I don't have the privilege of living in your ward.
Yeah.
I get Tim and Barb are my reps, but
hey.
I thank you for stepping up, because I think a lot of people are going to give their opinion and give their ideas but to really say, yeah, I'm here to serve. It's a tremendously humbling experience to get involved and then realize, oh wow, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And so I thank you, and I know a lot of folks in Brandon would like to thank you as well. So on behalf of them, thank you. And I'd also like to say thank you to our sponsor, Pizza Ranch. I mean, this podcast isn't possible without sponsors, and we're really, our goal is to build community. This podcast, Brandon Wellness's goal is to build community, and one of the things that we've been talking about is how do we really do that? One of the ways is through conversations like this. And in order to do this, it takes funds, it takes finances. And in Brandon, one of the places that I've found to be a great community builder is Pizza Ranch. I mean, whether it's a business meeting, a family birthday party, a family reunion, or just a place where you need to go and get the kids, let the kids run for a little bit. It's such a cool place. I mean, you get pizza. I mean, you get salad bar. I mean, anything you want. Extremely reasonable price if you got kids. And then you can drop, they can play some arcade games.
Yeah. That's especially in the wintertime in South Dakota. And you're looking, the kids, we need to get the kids out of the house. Man, Pizza Ranch and the county fair next door. I don't know how many times we were like, we just need to get out of the house. Let's go over there. Let's run some energy off.
So thank you to Pizza Ranch, County Fair. Thank you for what you do ongoing for years now. I've been building community in Brandon. So thank you. And if you have any questions, of course, you can contact us. If you have any guests that you think would be great, let us know. But let's thank you. Make sure you chance to reach out to Colin and our city government and say thanks for all you do. Appreciate you. Thanks, Colin, for being here.
Thank you. Again, I just want to say it's not always all about me, but I'm telling you, we live in a great community. I'm very honored to be able to serve. So.
Absolutely. Thanks, Colin.
Thank you for joining us on the Love Your Neighbor podcast. The purpose of the Love Your Neighbor podcast is to build community one conversation at a time. You can help us build that community by sharing the podcast on your social media channels and rating our podcast on whatever platform you're listening from. Another way is to let us know of any neighbors who have a story. Go Lynx!